Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to 1951. Before we begin tonight, I do want to point out, Kent has sent out the latest copy of the Gazette. He's worried about it getting to you, given the holidays and so forth. He has copies of it up on the counter if you'd like to pick up a copy on the way out. If you're not a member, there's also an application. We'd love for you to join us in the Lake City Historical Society. Now, before we begin, I want to tell you, most of you are of an age when you do remember Edgar Bergen, Charlie McCarthy, Mortimer Snerd, the ventriloquist from our era. I wanted Kent to find a picture with Edgar Bergen and Charlie McCarthy, because that's us. He feeds me the lines and I say them. Okay, once again, we are so grateful for the Dollar Foundation, and the Creative Alliance, the Continuum for allowing us to use the facility, and for you, for your membership and the sponsorship. We are going back in time 70 years tonight to 1951. If you recall, there's not been an election since 1950 when we did it, so we got the same officials here tonight.
Every 4 years now. It was 2 to start with. Now it's 4
now we have
councilmen. Okay.
The mayor is still Willie Cook. Lannis Poston is the councilman. Lannis Poston, Mims Merritt, Cecil Floyd, Leroy Benton, Raymond Askins, and Arthur Anderson. The top 10 movies: A Place in the Sun, A Streetcar Named Desire, An American in Paris, African Queen, I remember that one. Detective Story, I don't remember that. Born Yesterday, yes. Decision Before Dawn, nah, not me. Lavender Hill Mob, nah. Cyrano de Bergerac, I still remember that big nose. And The River. And here are the top 10 songs. Too Young, Nat King Cole. Because of You, I High the Moon, Be My Love, oh, I remember that one. I was only 10 at this point, but I was a real romantic. I got it stomped out of me, but at this point, Be My Love, I thought that was the song, you know. So, great songs. And Jezebel. Oh, that's another one. I should have played that one and sung it, just like, if you recall, the last time we had Teresa Brewer put another nickel in. It was that same kind of peppy song. And the Cars. Oh, man. They all so bulky. They so massive, muscle car. I think this is when they started using that expression for cars. They're all big. Okay? Except for the Studebaker. That was a real loss when we lost Studebaker. The only innovative group out of them. And that's the Hornet and Driggers Motors.
Driggers Motors, which was James Driggers, or Mary Driggers' husband. And then Mr. Hyman with the Oldsmobile and Chevrolet. Still parking.
I tell you, they never seem to get this thing right. I mean, almost every year they had to come back and remind everybody they're supposed to put money in the meters. My dad opened his, noticed that when Dad and Henry Godwin opened their barbershop, that they had a shine department. Yeah. With Tracy Singletary.
Shoe shine department.
As the manager of the shine department. Go ahead. This is up in Coward. They had this Tom Westwool, who came and played as many as 40 people at a time in either checkers or in chess. And it's interesting, he was brought down to Florence County, and I guess I don't know my geography real well, but they thought Coward was the center of the county. So that's why he's doing it in Coward. Earl Holloway. Apparently, Earl had a paint store before he had a furniture store.
And also, you know, he was a mortician to start
Before
with,
that.
too. So,
Yeah, and I also didn't realize that he sold used furniture. So I
he
mean,
would hang the chairs up
In the ceiling?
The ceiling.
I just remember it took.
And it was located beside Corner Drug. You know, we remember Corner Drug being down on East Main Street.
I remembered I delivered Earl Holloway's paper, and I'd go collect for it. And if I caught him at the front, I hated it because he never had any money, and he had to go back to the counter to get it, and it'd take half an hour to get from the front to the back.
Earl took his time. You know, really.
Slowest man ever. I still wonder how he graduated from the Citadel. One of the great mysteries.
Well, I think Dr. Herman he helped him.
Had to physically drag him. Okay. This is the year that they were having a big banquet at the Mayflower Cafe, and right in the middle of it, all the firemen had to leave for a fire. And apparently they rushed off and put out the fire and rushed back and finished their meal. So it's kind of interesting talking about the losses. You know, there were a lot of fires.
And there was a lot of volunteer firemen, too.
Yeah, look at that list. Almost every other guy in town was on the volunteer fire department. But, I mean, in, 1949, there were 87 fires. In 1950, 134. Wow, that's one every 3 days, roughly. Okay. Easter Parade. Ooh, they must have been a big one. Look, they talk about how they organize this thing. It sounds like a true fashion parade. I mean, almost every retailer in town was contributing outfits for kids to wear, you know, as part of the program. And I mean, and I remember Miss Fay Baker, she had a really nice voice. And so did Miss George Duke. Miss Duke lost it, but that didn't keep her from singing. But it was, and then there was a trio of R.L. Cockfield, Ed Roper, and Harry Whitlock, which I didn't know about. So this is, they did this at the Blanding Street Auditorium. The ladies really organized well. This is the year that Wentworth announced that they were coming to Lake City. What is a wash frock? What? Wash frock. W-A-S-H. Frock.
Wash and wear frocks.
I mean, who put on a frock to wash?
They were called wash and wear.
Ah.
Dry, you didn't have to iron.
Okay. Okay. Yep. Okay. It's interesting they were going to 300 people at this point. You remember 1950, they were having a few problems with the baseball park. For those of you, if anyone was not here last time, at this point, the baseball park was behind the old high school, which was right there on Main Street in Blanding. And the neighbors complained. The neighbors complained because of the noise, because of the balls that went over the fence, you know, because of the rowdy behavior.
Didn't have bathroom facilities.
Just a few problems.
So,
I believe it. So they are having meetings now because the Truckers, which was the semi-pro team in Lake City, was facing a season without a ballpark. And so they're having a meeting to figure out what to do about it. And notice that the people that are interested here, the committee that's going to investigate what to do about it was Talmadge Askins, James Stewart, Murray McClendon, R.B. Cromer, Herbert Williams, Sid Riddenbaker, and Louis Flanigan. And apparently they didn't make it because the whole league disbanded. It could only get 4 teams. The 4 teams were geographically pretty far apart, all the way from Orangeburg to Georgetown and Hartsville. And 4 teams, they figured it just wasn't worth traveling this year. So
the Lake City Club case, it became a case, and it went to the state Supreme Court. Jamie?
Yep.
Yeah.
The Supreme Court pointed out that it was public property and could not be leased to a private enterprise. And so the neighbors were justified in their complaint about the use of the ballpark. And the state court the Supreme Court just put an end to their use of that particular ball field. So here they are without a ball field.
And you just got to think about the neighborhood. You had Mr. James Richardson that lived almost right there at it. You had Mr. Jack Truelove.
On the one corner.
You had Dalton Floyd in the back. Dalton Floyd was one of the complaints. Also, Mr. Hoyt Carter that lived down the street, way down the street. So it was a big deal. And Lake City didn't have baseball in 1951.
Apparently, this was a big deal. I mean, there are a lot more people involved in this than you see the names up here. 49 people. It says an annual music festival. My understanding of this was piano. And there are names on this list that just surprised me. I mean, I never knew Howard Floyd took piano. I got to talk to him about that. But you can see all kinds of, they were all graded. And here we've got the two highest gradings, excellent, the highest is superior, and then excellent. And I also didn't know that Ruby Smith was on the faculty at Coker at this point. And she was one of the judges. I don't know who Ms. Frank West was. I don't know that name. Doesn't ring a bell. But these are basically, a lot of these were my age group. So I got classmates in that group and some that were a little bit older. Okay?
Judy Godwin, Chip Godwin.
Oh, you were there?
I was a truant, yeah.
And you got excellent. All right. Woo, woo. All right.
Wonderful.
Way to go.
And yes, right.
Yep, there you are, right beside Howard. Oh. Yeah. Okay. Then Mother becomes Mother in the Shoe. This is about a trip to the newspaper, the Times Herald, when Ms. Grace Collins brought her Cub Scouts there. And I find it interesting that Evelyn, her daughter Evelyn, was the mascot. Yeah. But apparently, they had a great time learning how to print a newspaper. So it was a fascinating process.
Yeah, Cub Scout And the Boy Scout was a big deal back in the 50s, early 50s.
Yeah. Big troops. I see your brother up there. Are you there?
Yeah.
Eddie's in there?
And also Bobby Askins. That's right.
Yeah.
My girlfriend used to, Evelyn Collins, though, that was better than being in anything.
Evelyn was everybody's girlfriend. Yeah. Everybody loved Evelyn.
Stirring up old memories for sure. All right. What next? Oh, the racetrack is still functioning in 1951, and they're riding these sulkies. You'll see another picture of it in a moment, where it's at. But it's interesting. Lake City apparently, remember last time we had a race car track with the first woman basically in the stock car racing circuit competed in that, Miss Smith. This time we've got Miss Christopher and a lady racer, first woman to drive in a horse race here.
7 races and 21 horses.
Where was the racetrack?
Yep.
Except for down on the other side of the country club.
No, it is between Highway 52 and the airport.
Yeah.
That was an open field
Yeah.
up to the airport.
Right
It was
there.
right smack dab in the middle where that warehouse is
The
now.
warehouse.
It's right on the corner where you turn in on 52. They had dogs too.
Yeah, it went all the way down Church
Yeah.
Street. Yeah. All
How
right.
they got by with it, I don't know, but there was a little building back there where you could place your bets. Right like this.
And the lantern. For my age group, cruising the lantern was a ritual for the weekend.
If your mama called you Jamie.
I tell you, I remember
Yeah.
the washboard. You know, you go through that, and I mean, it was just all gravel, but I mean, he never paved it, and he never graded it. And so the water would wash out the holes, and
Did
you'd
it
ride
sail?
through that. It's like the modern cars that, you know, they can jump them. We did that, but not on purpose.
Didn't they sell beer?
Huh?
Didn't they sell beer? At
Honestly,
Atlanta,
I don't-
They didn't sell beer.
I don't remember that.
Okay. Now David sold beer, but
I don't know that I ever went inside.
oh, okay. Okay. No, yeah.
Yeah. At least that's what I told Mama.
Yeah.
Would you believe Lake City had its own bus line? This is in town.
Yeah.
This is Norman Epps and Willie Lynch, both co-owners of Star Warehouse, formed a corporation to create a bus line in Lake City. And they were anxious to get it going in time for the tobacco season so that they could get people through the various warehouses and redrying facilities and so forth. I have no recollection of it at all, and I'm not even sure that they actually got it done, but they were planning it. They incorporated to make it happen. Okay, this is Lannis Poston's gas station on the corner of Church and Main. It's now Tomlinson McWhite business there at the corner. You see 1940, you see 1951, that's Lannis at the, after it's been remodeled. It's interesting because I don't remember it being sort of cattywampus like that. I always remember it being kind of perpendicular to Main Street. That one looks like it's a little bit not, but nevertheless. And here they're going to widen 52, turn it into a 4-lane highway in 1951. And you can see the modern labor-saving contrivance they have created. Now, I'm curious if that was made in someone's garage or if that was a manufactured product. You can see it's got basically a lawnmower engine on the back that drives a wheel. But it says it also has a gear for tilting. So taking the labor out of work. Okay. Local hero, Sammy Godwin. He's at school. Harley Parrott, whom I don't know, apparently made a mistake of pushing on a glass pane instead of the wood frame of the door, and the glass shattered, cutting his wrist. And Sammy was Johnny on the spot, grabbed the kit, grabbed him, got him to the place where he could get a tourniquet. I'll get it. Give me another chance. Tourniquet. And anyway, you know, he gets credit. Quick thinking. Okay. Full-time recreation program. They talked about it in 1950. They're talking about it in 1951.
We're still talking about it today.
Oh, this is Lewis Flanigan, Joe Webb, and Herbert Rollins were the committee that was working to determine if there would in fact be a full-time recreation program. They were going to use, notice they had unfinished tennis courts at 2 locations that they were going to use for softball, just because they had lights already in place. However, how do you play softball in the area that's described by a tennis court? I'm not quite sure how you do that, but that may be why we didn't have it. Oh, yeah. People continue to amaze all the time. We come up with really great dumb ideas. He's got this Mr. Powell's got this big tree in his yard. Apparently it's already dead, semi-hollow inside. They think there's a nest of snakes in there. So it's close to the house, so they want to drive it out. What do? Start a fire. Going to burn them out. You know, when they think they've done enough damage, they put it out and go to bed. Only they didn't put it out. If you ever set fire to a tree stump, you know that thing gonna burn. You just about can't put it out. So here he comes. Got to take the whole fire department out there. They got to make 2 trips with their water tanker in order to put this thing out. I can't imagine they couldn't figure out just to chop it down so it fall away from the house.
1,000 gallons of water.
The first time.
Yeah, the 500 at first. And then 1,000 gallons. And then the limb was hanging over
Gonna break
the house. It was going to break and crush the house.
You would think they'd have thought about that before they did that. Okay.
What?
Oh, remember last time we had the parade through Lake City? Turns out that this guy that's organizing this Thomas Hamilton, has been in the Klan and leading the Klan for a long time. He is a part of the Georgia Klan, the big, I don't know, you can't call it a national Klan, but he was part of the Klan that came out of Stone Mountain, Georgia. And he actually lived in Augusta. He was a grocer. And he was recruiting people. Now, this is an interesting one to me for a lot of reasons, not the least of which is that he had been stirring up significant trouble throughout this area. Just before he got here, he had been over in Tabor City and Whiteville area of North Carolina trying to recruit. And they had like a local chapter that had taken this man and woman across the state line in South Carolina to flog. It's kind of messy detail trying to figure out exactly what they were getting flogged for. It never was quite clear. But because they crossed the state line, the FBI got involved and went in and cleaned out that nest of vipers. I mean, I think, from what I read, must have arrested about a third of the county on that, as a result of that. But this was after they had been to Myrtle Beach. At Myrtle Beach, Hamilton had gotten about 40 or 50 men, gone to a black nightclub, and had threatened them, had gone away, and came back. They lined up like a military unit and started shooting into the club. Well, most of the patrons had had the good sense to leave when he threatened. There were still some there, but they got down, and apparently none of them got hit. But there was one person that got killed in that little incident. Turns out it was a sheriff's deputy. They figured this out after they took his robes off. He'd gotten killed inside the club somehow. So it's a big deal that he is trying to recruit in Lake City, because his recruiting almost always brought violence with it. Now, this is one of those unsung heroes of Lake City, Miss Thelma Brown Durant. Ms. Brown, my classmate Melanie's mother, was apparently a very strong woman. She made it very clear. They had sent out posters announcing the Klan rally at the racetrack. Melanie says that her mother learned about it when she saw one of the flyers. She immediately got on the phone to the governor of South Carolina, wanting to know what she could do to stop it. He said the only thing she could do was post the property, no trespassing. But it's interesting that he also sent a contingent of state troopers. As long as she was there, the troopers were there to prevent the Klan from accessing her property. So she literally stood them up and stood them off. And so they left.
And they went down 52, where we had the Lake City drive-in, which is right at Carter Sporting Goods.
Yep. And the Hamilton, when he addressed the crowd, it just tickles me no end, because that rally, apparently it rained all evening and it drenched the place. And so the turnout was pretty low, pretty pathetic. It was about 10 o'clock at night when finally it let up enough that he got out his PA system and started addressing the crowd. And he, what was it? Oh yeah, he said, Ms. Brown cut a little buck, keeping them from having it as they had planned. So that's one of those instances I remember from my childhood. I didn't know anything except I knew they had burned a cross out there. I could never place it when or any of the details about it. But that was the last time Hamilton came. Another PS, 2 years later, he was convicted of, honestly don't remember what crime, but it had to do with Klan activity. And he was sent to prison for 4 years. After he'd been in prison 18 months, he actually made a public plea for people to ignore the Klan and to quit if they were members. It was kind of interesting, his appeal to the people that he had been recruiting, telling them how wrong he had been. Okay, here we've got the Grahams are selling their laundry, the Benmatic Self Laundry. They
To
actually-
Paul Welch of Atlanta.
Yep. The sons Arnold and Harold had been running it and got called off to the army, and so they sold it. Now, I don't know where the Benmatic was. Do you? We looked in the telephone directory. It doesn't give a street address, so I'm not exactly sure. Kent thinks it was on 52, but I'm not sure where this one was. But at the same time, this is the Killcare. The Killcare Laundry is on Rogers Avenue. Right now, it's the Chenoweth Halligan Art Gallery. And Harry Whitlock and his son Ed, and his cousin Ed Whitlock ran it. Okay. This was a brand new high school in 1951. By the time I came along, it was part of, I guess it was junior high. We were 8th and 9th, but I believe my brother and my sister both graduated from Lake City High. It was brand new high school. The old 2-story building became the junior high, the middle school, or whatever you call it. It had the 7th and 8th grades at that time. Let's see.
And also the black school opened up on September the 17th, but I could not find the list of the teachers. But Professor Boone was the actually superintendent, and Mr. P.C. Lemon was the principal of Culver High School at the time.
And this is the new band director, Mr. Flynn. I remember Mr. Flynn quite well. I am surprised, really, reading all this information about him. I knew he was a Yankee. And he used to give me a fit, particularly for using the word pecan.
He was from Boston.
And he did not like that term. But I never could bring myself to say pecan. But I remember him quite well. I delivered his paper too in that era. But I think he stayed with us 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
It wasn't a really long time, but I remember him quite well.
That's a lot of reading to do, but
Yeah.
and if you like to do that reading, we'll have this session on YouTube, hopefully shortly. Okay.
Yep. And the high school the elementary faculty of both elementary and the junior high, it also gives interesting group of teachers. A lot of them are first-year teachers at this point. I'm trying to think, I was 10 years old. I would have been about the 4th grade. Miss Elizabeth Gowdy was my 4th grade teacher. I'm talking out of school, so to speak, but I do remember Elizabeth Rittenbaker. Anybody ever had her remembered her?
Yeah.
Oh, horror. She had a main street a mile wide.
You pop your knuckles.
Oh,
Twist
she
your
loved to
ears.
walk up behind you with a pencil or a ruler and whap. If you weren't paying attention or doing what you, and she would take you, bend your fingers back with a ruler and whap, 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 whap. Oh, mean lady.
And I remember Bill Whitlock one Wednesday night at the Baptist church, went up to Miss Rittenbaker and it just number.
Okay, Scranton. They're opening on Thursday, but they're not going to have lunch until Tuesday.
Yeah, Miss Frances Moore, which was Mr. Bob Moore's sister, Miss Bernice McCutcheon, and she must be 100, over 100 really, in the day. Miss Whitlock, Bill's mother.
Helen Daniel.
Yeah.
She
Helen
moved
Daniel.
to Lake City. We had her, I think, 7th grade.
And Mr. Harold Stokes came to Lake City also.
Miss Annadale Dixon, that's Bubba's mother.
That's what?
Miss Annadale Dixon, that's Bubba's mother.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Okay, great.
Yeah. All right. Trustees, you've seen them before? Yeah. Faculty from the high school, this is 1951, and I think Jenny Poston was about, this is either her first or second year, so we had a lot of young teachers at that point, first year teachers. I look at Miss Bessie Whitehead. I remember she was such a such a character to me. She she taught me history in, I think, 7th grade, something like that. I remember her telling me, says, "You've got a memory you can sit on," and I mean, you've got an imagination you can sit on. Excuse me. Yeah. And the senior class, many of those that you know, like Wilbur Brown, Carolyn Carter.
That's Harrison's sister.
Next. And the first two are my cousins. I don't know how they both ended up in the same grade, honestly.
I suspect William Lee kind of held back. Dr. Evans, Dr. Dexter.
Can you go back to that?
Yeah.
Can you go back?
Back.
That is Will.
That is what?
Will.
Yeah, that really is Wilbur.
With his bow tie. James Godwin, which is James Godwin's daddy. Watson Keefe is Sylvia Gowdy's brother.
Okay. Many of you remember Jack Matthews, Fleetwood Moody, Elaine Moore.
Lane Moore.
Now, I can't understand this because she's Lane Laird. She is graduating. She is married.
And she was pregnant.
I don't know. I mean,
Yes.
in that era, that was
Yeah.
A true exception.
And we got Donkey Mower, which is Mr. Jean's brother, O'Donnell. And that's how it was in the annual, Donkey Mower.
That's Joanne Evans on the top. Joanne. That's Joanne.
Miss Show,
Joanne Evans.
you think?
It is. That's Joanne.
Oh,
It is Joanne.
I take your word for it. Well, okay. Charles Rhodes. Jimmy Truelot,
Yeah.
the dentist. Clemagene. I remember her face. I do not remember the name. I don't remember her. Okay.
Barbara Ann Ward that married Don Budden. Okay. And Susan Budden's mother.
Joanne Whitlock, Richard.
John Whitlock, Mr. Harry's sister. Richard Whitlock, which Edward Whitlock's son.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, go. The cheerleaders.
Cheerleaders. Now, this Charles Smith, is that Charlie Dorn Smith? Or Charlie Dorn Smith's daddy?
No.
I don't know. Okay? Ernestine Smith, which was Ernestine Gravely, Randy Gravely's wife. Then Wilbur, Barbara Godwin, Bo Whitlock's mother, Fleetwood.
Okay. This is, B.C. Moore turned out to be a big sponsor. They ordered 16 jerseys through him. When they picked him up, he didn't charge them. And so it was written, a gift that was memorialized, so to speak.
They had 16 uniforms, and we had 23 players. Here are the players. Apparently they matched, you know. The uniforms did match, okay?
Didn't change from year to year. This is the football team from 51.
We had two football teams in Lake City that went undefeated. 1951 and then 1959.
Go back now.
Gotcha. Okay. Got J.P. Matthews, Eddie Floyd, Andrew Caddy, Joe Tarn, they call him Jenk, Gene Kelly, Jimmy Turner, Billy Jeffries, Hayward King, Gordon Whitlock, Russell White, Paige Godwin, Jack Fincher.
Okay.
Okay.
But they didn't make it.
They didn't make it. They didn't make it to state.
Yeah.
One.
And this is why Mullins was such a big rivalry.
Yeah.
You know, look at that. We were leading 7-6 at halftime and ended up losing 33-14.
Had 5,000 people there. That's amazing.
I'm not quite sure how they did that, but nevertheless, yep. It says that they were going to play against Kershaw. I don't understand. Oh, Mullins is Yeah, that's
Yeah,
Mars,
Mars
sorry.
like yeah, crucial. Yeah. This is girls basketball. Patricia Leach was Patricia Hanna, Duke Hanna, or Jimmy, Coach Hanna's mother. Barbara Godwin, Libby Evans, Charles Green's wife. These are the guys. Jack Matthews, J.P. Matthews.
See the same names over and over again.
Yeah.
You know, small school, so the athletes played on every sport. Okay. Too many names here. There are 33. There are 33 guys in that picture, and not going to get them all in there, all the names in there. But once again, you know, if you take the time to look at the football and the basketball, you'll know these guys.
Yeah. And if you'd like to see it, we have the annual at the society downtown. So come by if you're interested in finding out.
Keels Brockington comes to town.
Yeah.
I did not know that Mr. Morris owned a funeral home here in Lake City. Apparently, it's where it's there on Church Street. You know, the brick building Tammy Cotfield has now. That it became known as Brockington Morris. It talks about how Keels got here, which is kind of interesting. Born in Charleston, grew up in King Street, went to the Navy, came back, went to College of Charleston for a year, and then up to Wilmington to the mortuary school.
And then Temple University.
Yeah, I don't understand that. He attended Temple University at the same time. I'm assuming that's not Temple University in Philadelphia, but I don't really know that. So, because at that time, that would be a long train trip back and forth, Wilmington to Philadelphia.
So we had two funeral homes in Lake City at the time. Van Epps' funeral home, and then Keel's funeral home.
Oh, the beginning. This is early in the Korean War, 1951. Mr. Fagan is actually the third casualty, as you'll see. He had the roughest time of it. He got wounded right after he got there, took 2 months rehabilitation, went right back into the fight, and he was killed only about 2.5 months after he went back to the front lines. So he, notice that he died in early October, or no, it says October 28.
Yeah.
It couldn't be, because the article is October 21. So, oh, that's a different year. That was the previous year. Anyway, he was killed on October 3rd. He didn't get the body until December. So he was buried 19th of December.
Also, we had two more. We had three from Lake City area to die in 1951. We'll have more
Yep,
as years went by.
yep. So you got William Johnson and Thomas Crawford were also killed in 1951. All of them in the Army, obviously. It's interesting to me that Thomas Crawford served in the Navy in World War II, but when Korea came, he volunteered and enlisted in the Army. I think I'd have gone back in the Navy if it'd been me. Oh, if you recall, those of us who survived that era, they were big on practical jokes and things of that nature. And this is the Lions Club. Our next door neighbor, Rory Floyd, was a tail twister. Yeah, it was his job, to attend to non-attendees. And what they did is they came up with this idea that there was a penalty for missing. And so what they did is they took all of the members the names of the members who missed a meeting, put it in a box, drew. And the one who lost, or won, however you want to take it, got a goat staked in his front yard for 2 weeks until the next meeting and the next unlucky soul got it.
But Reverend Bolt lived on the corner of Main Street
Right across the street.
and Morris Street, where the church office is now. So I think it was kind of embarrassing for him to have a goat in his front yard.
I mean, all the traffic, everybody in the world
Yeah.
would drive by and see a goat in the front of his
You
house.
remember?
That's why that house where the church office is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's exactly right. Yep. So,
And hillbilly music.
riding the goat. Okay. I do not remember, of course, I wasn't such a big coffee drinker at this time, Floco Coffee. It was a brand from Flowers, W.E. Flowers and Company, but they branded their own coffee. The bag was yellow with a white rose on the front, and they actually branded it Floco. But they also did tea and salt, coconut, and rice.
Lake City's home.
Yeah, they were asking people, encouraging people to use the home brand, but I don't think it lasted very long. I mean, I certainly don't remember any of those brands,
Find
but
out Sunday at church.
okay. They finally got cars.
No, radios and cars.
Radios in the cars.
But they had just 2 cars.
What was it? What was the name of that TV show in the late 50s, Car 57?
Car 54, where are you?
Yeah, where are you?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's how we used it.
The sets have been in 2 city police cars. 2.
Yeah. This is an interesting tale Margaret Carter talked about. This Nelson Myers Graham, who basically was given credit for establishing Scranton as incorporating it.
Actually, his land started on the other side of the bridge on 52, past the hospital, and went to Scranton.
Big
All
place.
that area was Nelson Myers Graham's land.
And the tale is about how he took a switch, a sycamore switch, and just stuck it in the ground and left it, and it sprouted into a tree that was living well over 100 years later.
1951, of course.
So it's 120
but
years.
there is a sycamore tree here, and the house was brick veneered later on. So this was the original house that was built in 1931.
Okay. I'm still trying to figure this one out. The city office and the jail were renovated in 1951. The office was in the front. This was a 2-story building on the corner. It's now got the mural on it facing the Chamber of Commerce. There was an L shape, if you recall, that was the fire department. And it was a 2-story building. So I'm trying to figure out where all of this was. I know that the jail was behind the office downstairs, because I used to pick up papers at the police station, and they would let us come in you know, whenever it was rainy or really cold inside the jail. But it says it's got 16 cells, and they were able to segregate it according to sex. So they've got separate cells for white and black women in this particular jail. It was not a very private place. When I would pick up the papers, you know, the cells, there would be people in them exposed to anybody that walked in the door. So they were basic, uncomfortable cells. But they were remodeled, so I'm sure they were improved. Modern and well equipped. Okay, now here's Brown's racetrack from an aerial view, and you see the airfield that's behind it. As Harris pointed out, just down right above the name Brown is about where Ackline
This is where
feeds into 52.
this is where the warehouse is on 52, and this road here runs to the airport.
You can see there's got four aircraft
You
parked
can
at
see
the
here's the
airfield.
racetrack, and here's the airfield.
So Lake City purchased the airfield, Brown's Airfield, in 1951. And they're talking about making it a permanent. It looks, I don't know, it's hard to tell, but it looked like it was a dirt strip at that time.
If you'll notice, there's two airstrips there, one parallel and off, and when they built Talon, they did away with that airport and extended the main runway.
Okay?
Okay.
And that is 1951 as we know it from the newspapers and other clippings and postings. We'll be doing, in January, we'll be doing 1952. And if you know, we use the files that we have. Kent clips the newspapers and gets annuals and things like that. But we know that we don't have the whole picture. For instance, we have very little history on the black community because we don't have that many articles that are written. I don't know that they did annuals at that era. If they did, we don't have copies of it. So we would love to be more inclusive of that if we can get. So if you have anything from that era that talks about what was going on.
Any era, really, actually, you know, we'll be more than happy to copy it and give it right back to you. We have a scanning machine that just spits it out. So, yes, if you wouldn't mind, if you got an old scrapbook with pictures in it, let's look at it and see. Okay.
And particularly, I say this knowing that we have people here who might have access. The black community is poorly represented in these presentations simply because we don't have material, and we would love to have more. So we'd love to be able to give you a real, as complete a picture of Lake City during those eras as we possibly
And
can.
also, women. We need more women history too, you know. So if you can share it with us, we would appreciate it. And thank y'all for coming. It's been great.